To be honest, I still have questions. From 2015 to 2029, 100,000 people were carefully selected to have their DNA shot into deep space. In all, there were 24 shots or flights that projected the DNA into the heavenly protection of the cosmos, while on Earth the population continued to drown, not from another flood from God, but in the cesspool of its own hubris. To avoid arbitrary limitations of American bureaucracy and politics, the small capsules were launched from private sites in Central America. While the purpose of these flights was to establish a more pure and honorable cross-section of humanity in the eons to come, less than honorable individuals sought to have control of this new ark of salvation. Because with control, if humanity was reborn, one person could truly be God. In 2029, an inflamed American politician worked very hard to secure the secret that makes spaceflight possible for human DNA to survive the deadly radiation of space. And if the secret couldn't be secured through so-called civil means, a more sinister tactic was required. Secure the man who has the secret. While his granddaughter escaped capture in Guatemala just after the final launch, he didn't. And it's still unclear to me whether or not he intended to be captured. Whether or not he planned the whole thing. Using a court of martial law, the politicians needed to get his secret and fast, with no publicity. What better place than an FOB about to be abandoned by our own military because the town they were evacuating was about to be taken over by various insurgents from Mexico. In fact, intel tells us that we only have 3 days, and this base will be a Mexican Al-Qaeda stronghold.
Transfer of multiple weapons and explosives across international borders. Assembling a secret terror potential organization. Misuse of public land. Kidnapping. Multiple counts of fraud. Violation of the 2019 heresy law. Practicing medicine without a license. Unauthorized performance of marriage ceremonies. And tax evasion. Dr. Stevenson, this is quite a list. There's an even dozen charges here, biggest list I've ever seen. Do you understand each of these several charges against you and your sail away organization?
One question I had was, how could a man who's done so much, like developing glasses that allow you to hear through your eyes, how could he have gone so wrong?
I'm told that you are deaf as a door without your glasses.
No, this assembly is a sham, and it's shameful. And I definitely don't believe this is a court of proper jurisdiction, even if the charges were truthful, and they're not.
I want you to know that your opinion doesn't matter.
I was impressed with how Dr. Stevenson, or SAEL, instantly drew division amongst the panel. I've got to ask him one day, did he know General Pierce was deaf and used those hearing glasses?
And couldn't hear through my eyes, I'd be stone deaf.
I was not knocking the defendant's invention. I didn't know that you were deaf.
Right. That's not what it sounded like.
On February 11, 2029, the President of the United States declared martial law. And since that declaration, she has appointed this tribunal to hear your case. I answer to the President, and I expect you to answer to me and to respect my station. This is a court of martial law, Dr. Stevenson.
As to this martial law, the President and her recent predecessors are to blame. The effects of...
Again, your opinion doesn't matter. You will address me either as Admiral, Judge, or Your Honor. Is that clear?
Well, Judge Admiral, Your Honor, you had the power, and you still have the power to dismiss...
As the chosen prosecutor on this case, I could see that this man was no bubblecomer.
You are already...
It's like he knows there's a different agenda here.
Whatever you can.
I wonder if I know it too.
Do you have legal representation at this arraignment hearing?
No, it's hard. I miss you too.
Maybe he can get you to control yourself.
Yes, yeah, I have legal representation.
Thank goodness. Where is he?
You're looking at him.
Yeah, he was very smart. That opens the door for an appeal. The judge wasn't happy about that.
You understand the gravity here? This is not a simple family dispute or a suit against the corner grocery store. This is a criminal case. It is complicated and the consequences are major.
I'm going pro se, and that's the end of it. But if it makes you happy, I will take an assistant, for one of my own choosing.
It does. But I still need your answer. Do you understand the charges? And how do you plead to the charges I've read to you?
I will answer the same to every charge. It's not guilty across the board.
Where is this assistant you're choosing?
My chosen legal assistant is just outside. But I'm fine on my pleadings, just as I now gave them.
Bring him in.
Are you having fun? I know, I'll just be a little longer. I just have to help Grandpa, and I'll be home as soon as I can, okay? Okay, I have to go, sweetheart. I love you. Bye.
Penny Erickson, attorney at law.
While I was glad he had an assistant, I wasn't thrilled with the note the sergeant handed me. The insurgents were no more than 7 miles out. We were short on time.
Okay, Ms. Erickson, please come forward and sit at the defendant's table. I will allow you 5 minutes of discussion with your client. Then I will give you another chance to plead.
I'm not her client. I'm her grandfather.
Grandfather, are you okay? They wouldn't let me see you this last week. Did they torture you?
No, nothing like that at all. It just took them a week to get their act together and get us out here to this godforsaken place where they knew no press would show up. So, but I'm fine.
Okay. Well, nobody found me where I was hiding. One guy almost did. I couldn't see his face, but he found my hat.
I think that's okay. That shouldn't be a problem. I knew you'd be okay because they were really focused on me.
Are you sure you want to have me as your lawyer? You don't want someone more experienced?
You're exactly the right person for this. I could think of no one else I'd rather have by my side. We've gone a lot of explorations together, and a lot of caves and a lot of dark spaces, and you're the one. Penny, this is something that I'd rather have you by my side than anybody else in the world. And this is a kangaroo court. Any difference? You're the person I need beside me.
What about Journal 7? What if the court subpoenas it?
No.
I'll make sure it's hidden where nobody can find it.
Okay, Dr. Stevenson and Attorney Erickson, please pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
Do you wish to change any of your pleadings?
Oh, come on.
What idiot said we're here in a war zone? What is going on? We could be killed.
We shouldn't be here.
Your Honor, you should remove this defendant's handcuffs and his bright jail clothing. The entire section along this border is a war zone. He has a right to be able to act unencumbered to protect himself for his own safety. And further, he should be released from jail, under guard if you wish, but out from behind bars. You know the burden is on you to prove that either he is a flight risk or he has a possibility of hurting someone physically. Are you prepared to provide that proof? If not, you need to release him from suit, bars, and handcuffs.
Guard, remove the cuffs. And in the future, I can't have the two representatives for the defendant willy-nilly changing out who's to speak to the court. Do you understand that, Ms. Erickson?
I do.
Okay, this arraignment is complete. The panel duly records your pleas and orders you to trial beginning tomorrow morning at 0800 in this same...
Seems like a violation of protocol not to be in uniform here, and I have a problem with that.
The general's assessment of dress protocol was valid, but I'm not sure the reason Admiral Dukakis gave was. Everyone on this base is a target, not just officers.
And Sergeant, I know it's very hot, but keep the tent flaps
Isn't
shut.
that a little bit fast?
The trial will begin at 0800, period. Session dismissed.
morning, Dr. SAEL. Sorry, I'm frisky before you come in.
Miss Erickson, please, just a moment.
Dr. SAEL,
I think it's a good guy.
I need to ask you about the glasses.
My glasses are not a threat. I've got to get into the view.
But it's for me.
What do you mean?
I've been losing my hearing with all of the explosions and gunfire, and I was wondering, do the glasses work the way that you say they do? Dr. SAEL, should I try them really quick?
Just talk to him about this, please.
Yes. Oh, I see lights. Now, it's louder.
I couldn't say what did you say about
At first,
anybody. Look them up. They're on the web. Where you been? I've been worrying about you. Why did you hit your button on your glasses
I
and
did.
signal me?
I did. I wanted you to hear a discussion I got dragged into. Well, listen. The prosecutor wants to cut a deal. First, you plead guilty to reduced charges. And second, they want you to testify against somebody else.
I'm not going to plead guilty to anything. I'm not guilty to anything. If I can testify against a bad guy, okay, but no guilty plea.
Declare this court in session. Does the prosecution wish to make an opening statement?
Yes. The prosecution wishes to use a video that was taken about a decade ago. And after that, we'll use the video as a framework, which will determine and prove the defendant's guilt.
My goodness, where did they pick up that old version? But this version doesn't say anything about the moon.
The moon? Did I really hear him say the moon? Did he intend to say that? Maybe it's just a distraction to keep me from getting to my real purpose. Secure the secret to preserving DNA in deep space.
Is that the completion of your opening?
Yes, Your Honor, it is. The prosecution will show that everything in that video supports our case.
Does the defense wish to make an opening statement?
Yes. I recommend that this tribunal convene to a deliberation session. You look at the facts, you reach some conclusions, you come up with a verdict. We don't need to sit through some kind of theatrical farce.
Does that mean you've decided to accept the prosecutor's plea offer?
In no manner would I do so.
Then, since I have authority for the management of this tribunal session, this court will continue as scheduled in the normal sequence. So, Dr. Stevenson, continue with your opening statement.
I don't have anything more to say, except as the facts unfold in this case, they're going to show me to be innocent and the judge to be corrupt.
There it is.
And
That's why no
maybe his
plea
bosses
deal.
too.
Bold move, but it'll never work.
Yeah, I am.
The prosecution may call its witnesses.
The prosecution calls the defendant, Dr. Jeremiah Davis Stevenson, to the witness chair.
Under the Constitution of the United States, I don't need to testify.
You forget, Dr. Stevenson. This is a court under martial law. This is, in complete effect, a court-martial. You can indeed be compelled to testify, and I so compel. Now get up to the witness chair before I have you carried up.
My first question is, what's that shirt you're wearing? You part of some army?
It's a uniform. It's a uniform of the Sail Away project.
Uniform. That would make me think that you've started some sort of army.
That's as silly as saying the gas station attendant or the UPS delivery man is part of an army.
We have several affidavits that say you operate under a false name. You're known to your fellow conspirators as Dr. SAEL. Is
this the name that you used more than 10 years during your lawless activities in Central America?
First of all, there are no conspirators, and I didn't engage in any
We
lawless
have
activity.
another defendant who is under investigation by this court, who says that Dr. SAEL funded the sail-away rocket flights by using profits from gambling, drug running, human flesh peddling.
I can't think of anyone who would say such things. Even those who don't like me wouldn't stoop to that.
How about Henry Paul Hiller?
Never met the guy.
He's slated to be called as a witness for the prosecution. Are you claiming that you have never had dealings with Mr. Hiller?
I'm simply saying that I never met
Well, you happen to recognize this manifest. It's the list of people who went off on your first sail-away launch. Your first sailors. Hiller's name is on it as passenger number 178.
Okay, so?
So, then you do know him. And in fact, by own admission, his DNA was on your first flight from Earth.
No, his DNA was submitted for the position of...
We have an affidavit from one of your early employees, conspirators, I should say, who testified under oath that he was paid a significant sum to have Hiller's DNA put aboard the flight.
You are probably talking about Clement Adams. I fired him soon after the Alpha launch. He's a crook and a liar. I have no doubt that he is lying to you, probably for revenge.
But what if it was? What if you found that Mr. Hiller became reconstituted along with the rest of your sailors?
I would immediately kill him.
Some might say that you've just made an exceptionally violent declaration.
Some might. Others might ask why such an evil man as Hiller hasn't already been killed.
You mean you would want others to do your killing for you? Kill a man who's not been convicted by any court of any crime whatsoever?
For Henry Hiller, I would be glad to do the killing myself.
Let's move on. We'll come back to the issue of your aggression later. Now, do you recognize these pictures?
Yes.
And what is their origin?
They are images from the very first Sail-Away website.
Well, would you be so kind to explain each one in order as we show them to the tribunal via their video display?
Sure.
Space Ark Enterprises, LLC, is on a mission to send DNA into deep space where the essential code of each singular life will orbit through the solar system like a new planet. SAEL's goal is perpetual preservation by using high-technology encapsulation, the preserving code of space, and a revolutionary manner of space launch. Would you consider that an accurate portrayal?
Yes.
And this one?
It's a solicitation to join the SAIL force.
Let's skip a few slides and look at this one.
A rocket, some DNA chips, and me as an initial member of the SAIL force.
Sounds to me like you're organizing a military group, private militia.
It's no more so than the Force of Gravity is a military group, or Federal Express is part of our National Air Force.
When you were caught, you were carrying a 9mm pistol.
Minor firepower compared to what the thugs you sent to kidnap me were carrying. Kidnap me! While I was conducting completely legal business, I was in legal possession of my weapon. I'm certain my kidnappers weren't.
Can you prove it?
Can you prove otherwise?
Okay. You had written permission for the gun. But did you have written permission to possess and show someone's DNA?
No.
Do you not think that would be a violation of privacy?
Not at all. There's my own DNA in that picture. I doubt you could know that from
I could see the judge wasn't happy with the flimsiness of our evidence so far. I needed to drill harder.
What is that?
It's a copy of a certificate I gave to a terminal patient named Jamie, whose DNA went aboard one of the flights with her mother's. The little girl died a month later. But she was thrilled until that time by the idea that she and her mother might be together again in the future. What's the matter with that? I see you've got a children's application in your hands. If you read it, you'll know the whole story.
Well, it strikes me that you might be engaged in psychiatry without training and certification. What about this?
Too much. That's the big people's form. It makes very clear the speculative nature of the project.
And all these things we've discussed are on your website?
You know, they were. That's how you got them.
In the manner of making a weapon of mass destruction, is this not a picture of one of your launches?
I think that would be a picture of the launch of Flight Alpha, the flight that carries LV and my own DNA.
Well, the court contends that this and all of your 23 other flights combine multiple accounts of fraud with the charge of making this massive weapon shown in the picture. I'm told the cannon's bigger than anything the military's ever built.
It's not an accurate claim, like your other claims.
Well, if you think the court is inaccurate, then why don't you just illuminate the panel members with some
They
specific...
probably already know the details. After all, the project has been the subject of many magazine articles and is openly advertised. There's nothing secretive about the project.
Really? Is it not true that you keep secret places where you're making your launches?
Only until 1 second after the firing.
So, the previous statement about not having secrecy was a lie.
There is nothing unlawful about having a secret. In fact, I have a super secret. Only I know how to make DNA survive for millennia in deep space.
What else might your sail away project be hiding? Maybe you should give us an A to Z accounting, including how to preserve DNA.
You know what? Maybe I should. Let's start at the very beginning. The bigot and class warfare crap.
He weaved quite a story, from his study of genetics to blast tests on private property, maxing out his own finances until the sail away program began to take off. I couldn't help but think, if only I'd known about this earlier. But we're not earlier. We're here. And I had a job to do.
Haven't you left something out? What about the preservation technique? Is it that gold coating?
Not hardly. The coating is only for thermal control, not for gamma ray survival.
Well, then tell us what else is needed for gamma ray protection.
I know very well that many groups have unsuccessfully, at great cost to the government, tried to make DNA survive the levels...
Dr. SAEL, about the preservation technique. You must answer the prosecutor's question.
I'm not about to tell them the solution.
That is a court order. And if you defy it, then I will declare you in contempt of court.
That's when my doubts about this case became stronger. The judge couldn't be serious. Whatever SAEL is hiding had no bearing on the charges brought against him. I had to jump in with a new direction.
Your browbeating and threats won't work. I'm not about to talk. So
what makes you think that you should be allowed to pick and choose who gets to sail?
It was for the group of people who really do represent humanity. People who are properly connected to their souls, to good souls. That doesn't include everybody.
Then why did you start your sail away project, if not for the benefit of all humanity?
After Elvie and I were married for a few years, she contracted a difficult cancer. That is when I conceived the Sail Away project. I would send our DNA into deep space with a hope that in some distant future, by a merciful act...
You solicited DNA from non-family and charged them for, as you call it, sailing away. You had no proof it would work. And you were acting against church doctrine. Yet you charged people good money.
I never claimed there was proof that it would work. While you, Mr. Prosecutor, can't prove that it won't. And the burden of proof is on you. People could either send their DNA or not. It was their choice, not my coercion. Legalization and enforcement of coercion is a government thing, not a sail away thing. That's why I'm here.
Well, let me tell you that your coercive government talked to many experts. It seems to me that the experts think that what you're promoting is pure hucksterism and utterly stupid.
You know that nearly all of the medical experts, the doctors at the time, once thought that washing their hands between examination of patients and corpses was stupid and useless. But I have no doubt, I do agree that the experts get it right more often than not. The world is filled with crackpots and crackpot ideas.
Crackpot ideas? Like what? What do you call crackpot ideas?
When your grandparents were born, there were no picture-taking cell phones. Anyone who claimed that soon a man would be able to instantaneously send not only his voice, but detailed pictures to anywhere in the world, from anywhere in the world, that person would have been laughed at by the experts of his time for having such a stupid idea.
What does all that have to do with your claims, your fraud?
Objection, Your Honor. I object to the conclusions being drawn by the prosecution.
Sustained. Mr. Prosecutor, please be careful.
Consider this. All right. If a man becomes senile, he might forget a lot of details about his life. Does that mean he's not the same man? Well, how about if he has no memory at all? Well, how about if there is something exactly like him, but just not in the same skin, that does have all the memories? Which one is the man? And I had a vision of being resurrected on a new earth with a new sky and a new society, like the Bible claims. I can see us leaving the decadent craziness of this world behind us and finding a new paradise. The idea fit well with our Christian beliefs. Nothing criminal in that.
Except that you made several destructive weapons to carry out your goal. You organized a group of people, malcontents for this country, who could have been terrorists to help carry out your goal. You took money for an unproven concept.
That's called investment in entrepreneurship, something that used to be an important part of this nation. Nothing was misrepresented in that process.
Don't interrupt me. You shot people's DNA into deep space with the claim that it would be preserved for 1 million years. Two problems here. First, you didn't get permission from NASA or any other space-controlling agency. And second, you made a cannon and rockets to do so, which could have carried warheads
Every sail-away shot was straight up into the air. The rockets coming out of the cannons were small, and the payloads had a mass of less than...
Dr. SAEL, the prosecutor has already asked you not to interrupt. Now I am ordering you the same.
Thank you, Your Honor. Now, the number 2 problem I referred to. You misled people when you claimed that their DNA would be preserved in a useful state for 1 million years in space. Every expert I spoke with said the gamma rays in space eventually would sever the DNA, break it up, so that the details of its sequences would be lost. Yet, you claim to have a secret technology to overcome that issue. What might that be?
I baited him as well as I could, challenged his ego, but he wasn't having any of it.
Over and again to get
And time was running out.
I will tell you this. If I were to reveal my secret to you, then your experts would, within seconds of my explanation, slap themselves on the forehead and declare, "Of course! Why didn't I think of that?"
For now, let's move on to another subject. Dr. SAEL, if you didn't think you were doing anything wrong, then why didn't you do your work in the United States instead of doing your launches willy-nilly in Central America?
I can answer that in one word. Bureaucracy. I didn't have time to waste on official foolishness. NASA management had become corrupted by the big players and would drag me to a halt.
When you took people's DNA across the U.S. border, to those places, were you not committing an act of kidnapping?
If your suggestion that moving DNA across borders is kidnapping, then the entire international network of blood banks should be shut down and its managers put in prison.
Those blood bank arrangements are by international agreement.
That's irrelevant. I have no doubt that everyone in this room, everyone, somewhere on their body or clothing or briefcase or something, is carrying DNA from another person. Did they need permission for that transport from the source of the DNA? Are all of you kidnappers?
I found it more challenging than I thought to corner this man into submission. My evidence began sounding more and more like a defense than the prosecution, even to me.
You advertise that a sailor's DNA will be reconstituted in paradise. You cannot prove such a claim is true.
Look, I don't need to prove it is true. You need to prove it is not true. I promised no absolutes. But I will tell you this. When I would go into a hospital and sit with a terminally ill child and its family, it was an emotionally satisfying experience to see the joy when at least the possibility of being together in some distant future was offered to them. I know that you lost a daughter to cancer.
My family affairs are none of your business.
And the legal choices of other people and other families are none of yours or this court's. This is still America, at least for a while longer.
If the prosecution would so consider, perhaps we could wrap up this inquiry with this particular witness. There seems to be no ground to cover that is not already in the documentation.
Your Honor, I have no more questions for this witness. He can stand down, unless the defense wants to cross-examine himself.
Dr. SAEL, you are dismissed, but subject to recall if needed. Let's take a 15-minute recess.
15 minutes wasn't much of a recess. I knew I had to start playing a bit differently, so I called the one man that might get Dr. SAEL to trip up, the man I wanted to strike a plea deal for. Outside, things were heating up again. This trial was going to be shorter than we thought.
The court now orders Henry Paul Hiller to the witness chair.
I just wanted to tell you that I'm impressed with your strength.
Mr. Hiller, where do you live?
I have several farms throughout Central America.
So you're a farmer?
Well, not exactly. I own the farms, and I have people that do the work for me. I don't really get my hands in the dirt. Besides being their boss, I broker the harvest for myself as well as the harvest for others.
Does this require you to travel extensively?
Yes, I've done so throughout Central America, both often and extensively.
And in your travels, Mr. Hiller, did you come to know a man who answers to the name of Dr. SAEL?
Yes.
Is he the man sitting at the defense table?
Yes.
And before today, when was the last time you saw Dr. SAEL?
I observed him during the last launch of his Sail Away project, Flight Omega.
Would you describe to the court what you witnessed?
Over a period of several days, I witnessed the Sail Away launch crew, supervised by Dr. SAEL, drill a hole, a well hole, from the top of a hill down through the ground into a lava tube.
A lava tube?
Yes, a below ground tube where lava used to flow. It's a tunnel left after the lava.
I'm familiar with a lava tube. But why would Dr. SAEL want to drill down into such a tube?
He can access his cannon at the bottom, at the breech. It's easier to load the gunpowder and his rockets from the bottom than it is at the top.
Can you describe the cannon and the hole and the rockets?
The depth of the hole was over 100 meters. It was drilled like a water well is drilled, only there's no water. But he used a water well drilling rig. The hole was about half a meter wide.
And the cannon?
It was suspended down into the hole. It was as deep as the hole itself. Stuck out no taller than the height of a man.
And the rockets, would you say they look like this illustration?
Yes.
Do you recognize the man standing next to the rocket in this picture?
Yes, that's Dr. SAEL. He was the man in charge of the cannon's launch. When I found out that he was going to launch Space Ark Omega from his preferred site, I contacted the proper American authorities, and you made the arrest at that site.
You say this particular lava tube was his favorite. But what do you mean?
He'd used it 3 times before. It's only a few kilometers away from one of my farms. My workers had heard him fire the cannon before, and they did not like it, and neither did I. We were afraid that he might use the rockets to harm us, or that one of the warheads would come down and blow us up.
Did he use the same hole every time?
Yes.
Well, I'm through with this witness.
Does the defense wish to cross-examine?
Yes, I do. Mr. Hiller, what is it that you grow on your farms?
Crops. Various crops.
Do you have warehouses on your farms?
Your Honor, I object. The witness is not on trial here.
His veracity is.
Sustained.
You testified that I was arrested at the Omega launch site by American forces. Why not the authorities in the Central American country I was in at the time? Is it not truly the case that your men, not official American personnel, captured me? In fact, you were acting as a paid agent of the United States government, were you not?
No.
I think I got my answer. You've testified that you saw me drilling a well hole, but you also testified that I was using a well hole that I'd used before. Mr. Hiller, which one is it? You did see me, or you did not see me?
Maybe I saw you drilling from times before, and this time I saw you lowering the cannon down into the hole. You did your launch.
Is it not really the case that you never saw me drilling a well? You never saw me loading a rocket. You never saw me shooting anything from a cannon. Is it not actually the truth that you are simply operating under an agreement, under the instructions of the government of the United States?
What once was a clear and present danger in terms of Dr. Jeremiah Davis Stevenson or Dr. SAEL is now a cloud of doubt or confusion in my mind. I mean, here's a guy who didn't get rich on his invention, and he did use it for the preservation of humanity, whether you believe it works or not. His motives were honorable. So far, I only have questions, especially if by some miraculous transport of DNA, good people were returned to paradise with full memories of the lives they'd already lived. Would evil follow them? And if so, could the good people recognize it and overcome it? Could they? I regret very much sending the sergeant out to investigate. He died from a shrapnel wound to the neck.
All right, at ease. I'm not in uniform. What's going on? What happened?
Sir,
Come on, spit it out.
We've neutralized the sniper fire. The town is still under attack. I recommend you gentlemen take a break until we can secure the perimeter.
All right, you're dismissed.
Dr. SAEL, pay attention. We are going to dismiss this court for 2 hours for the safety of all concerned. And then we will resume. We have to get this trial moving along. Mr. Hiller, you are dismissed.
Wait a minute. I want to hear what this man has to say.
I agree with the Admiral, sir. I'd like to hear what he has to say as well.
Right now, you and I need to talk. Meet me at the north end of the airport security gate. Be there in 10 minutes. It's a lot more dangerous for us if we don't get at least one count against Dr. SAEL.
Yes. Looks like things are quieting down. Marines did a good job.
Yeah, not for long. Look, it's starting to look like a circus in there, and you're the clown. Sailors walking all over you. If you don't nail him, then the president's gonna be unhappy. Really unhappy. And she'll make me unhappy. And Mike, you don't want to know what an unhappy Admiral Dukakis looks like.
Look, I'm twisting everything as much as I can. Want me to look even more foolish?
Then you better damn well start doing something else. I can feel my two associates in there beginning to lean towards SAEL. He's not being confrontational just to be confrontational. He early on adopted his tactic to split those two away from me.
Think I don't know that?
You do understand. Well, if you fail, then the president's going to put her heel on my chest. And if she puts her heel on my chest, I'm going to put both my heels on your throat. And your families. You understand?
I understand. It's that last fact that keeps me doing what I'm doing here, and that's all. But look, I don't think we can finish this before tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't mind the trial going into tomorrow. It'll make it look more legitimate. Besides, I've made some plans for tonight that I want to keep. But I don't want to be here tomorrow night, and I expect you to take care of that. This base will fall to the insurgents before the end of the week, and I want to be long gone.
Let me ask you, what position has the president offered you? Secretary of State? I mean, besides her $5 million bucks?
That's none of your business. Your business is to make her plan possible, do you understand? And if you love your family, just get it done. This court is now in session. Does the prosecution have more to present? Mr. Prosecutor. Mr.
Yes. I'd like to recall Dr. Davis SAEL in the matter of practicing medicine without a license.
Dr. SAEL, I remind you that you are still under oath.
Of course.
Okay, let's proceed to the matter of practicing medicine without a license.
Dr. SAEL, do you have a medical degree?
Nope.
Do you have any formal accredited medical training?
No.
Are you familiar with this package?
Yes.
Would you explain each of the items in that package?
The outer envelope, simply a mailing envelope. Inside this is a page of instructions. That's how we take our blood samples. And here is a sealed plastic container. This plastic envelope contains a specialized filter paper, which is right here in this. And then this unit here is for lancing the finger and taking blood. The last item that is in here is a automatic return envelope going back to the company.
I noticed that the filter paper card and the special return envelope both have barcodes. What's that about?
The barcodes are part of a process to keep the government from stealing the samples to make a DNA database on the sail away passengers.
So, you deliberately created a scheme for your sailors to evade the government making records.
Of course. I mean, that's part of being a good American. You know, you don't give the government any more than necessary. the writers of the Constitution would appreciate my effort. If you can remember from law school, there's even an amendment to that effect. Duh!
Look, you don't have to be so adversarial. We can get along.
Are you kidding? You're the prosecutor, and I'm the defendant.
Well, maybe you could tone it down just a little. Let's go back to the yellow-colored device. This. Explain how that works?
Okay, you twist this cap off. That loads the spring. Right, then you touch it against your finger, and you go pop. Oh, how about we show you on one of your fingers? Give me your hand.
No.
Such a baby. Look. There. Then we fold the paper and we put it back in the, and there it is.
What do you do with your customer's blood? Are you licensed to handle biohazardous material?
Nope.
Well, contaminated blood is a hazard. You know the dangerous infections that exist, HIV?
There is absolutely no danger associated with transporting blood drops on this special paper, for heaven's sakes. You know, when it's sealed and in the mailing package, this is verified by the supplier of the paper, who is qualified to do so.
You know who owns the paper supplier?
No, and I don't care.
Who certifies such companies?
I don't know who certifies such things, but I only use those vendors that are used by police and FBI forensics labs. Hey, that's good enough
You
for
said
me.
vendors, that's plural. Does that mean you use more than one vendor?
Yes, there were two of them. We always call them Paper 1 and Paper 2.
Who made paper 1 and who made paper 2?
You are embarrassing the court and affronting the intelligence of at least two members of this tribunal. These men aren't stupid. Look at their faces. They must be beginning to think that you are unhitched.
Dr. SAEL, we do not need your suggestions as to what the panel members do or do not think. We'll find that out for sure when the time comes, when the court renders its verdicts. Now, the prosecution needs to move on unless it has some important additions to this inquiry.
All right, now the next charge, tax evasion. You do understand the charges brought against you.
Who can understand the foolishness?
You realize you've been asked several times to present this Journal 7. You know, perhaps the prosecution would look more favorable.
How many times are we going to go over this? There is no Journal 7 for me to give over. You've harassed me continually about that mythical journal while I was behind bars leading up to this trial. You tried everything short of outright physical torture to get it. Why do you think it could be given over during this trial? Just give it up.
And then, now on the matter of the misuse of public lands.
Okay, let's pick this up at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
Yes, I was threatened to prosecute this defendant. But at first I truly believed this man was a danger to our national security. But I realized it's our government who's the real danger. However, for my family's sake, I had to get at least one conviction.
Penny, can you hear me? I'm in the VIP compound. Come on. Hold on, I hear someone coming. Penny. Hey, Penny, I'm back. Just as we suspected, Hiller is making a delivery to the Admiral's tent. Looks like there's a bag there, and I'll bet I know what's in that. Some kind of little happy drugs. And my goodness, it looks like there's some more to the delivery as well. It looks like a happy girl. She's pretty, and it looks like she would be influential. We have got to get that girl
onto the stand tomorrow.
Is this not you? This is a picture taken from a surveillance camera at one of the lava tubes in Bend, Oregon. Is that you?
Yeah, that's me. So what?
So, 2 days later, a bomb was exploded inside the tunnel. Now, we analyzed the video for the entire month leading up to the massive explosion. You're the only one we can identify who uses explosives.
I work with propellants. They deflagrate. They don't explode.
Pretty much the same thing, I would think.
You're right. You should
Let's
think.
revisit the fraud you foisted on your sailors, that you put their DNA at risk by using unqualified people,
Put the
students.
sailors' DNA at risk? What does that mean? They put some of their DNA into the toilet every
Look,
day.
the fact remains that you used unqualified people.
Hey, maybe the university boys would have blown things up. You ever watch some of the NASA launches? But my so be it team makes up the difference in a relevant education and an appreciative enthusiasm.
Still, it was fraudulent to not let your clients know that you were using high school and community college graduates.
Really? How can you argue against success? For heaven's sake, we have a far better track record than
Don't you
NASA.
think that your sailors deserve more than a second string team?
If that's what you think, then so be it. That was a joke. Get it? So be it? That's the name of the educational system that helped and inspired my teams? Forget it.
I agree. Let's forget it. Let's break for lunch.
Lunch was extended another couple of hours because we had just learned that the town of Bisbee was in control of the Mexican ISIS. Unfortunately, some residents didn't make it out, and they never will. Security measures ramped up even tighter here on the base, but somehow SAEL was able to secure new evidence. I pretended I didn't like it.
This is new evidence I should have been made aware of, had a chance to look at.
Well, what is this, and why has it not been submitted before?
This CD contains copies of more than 38,000 emails that were sent to the Sail Away website overnight in response to our requesting testimony that there was never any fraud.
I might object.
On what grounds?
Timeliness.
Well, I guess the defense couldn't provide it before they had it. Your objection is overruled.
SAEL called Henry Hiller back to the stand. The judge objected, but Admiral Howard made it clear SAEL didn't get to finish when the sniper attacked. We recessed for a couple of hours to look for Hiller. I thought about my daughter.
You have claimed that you witnessed me in what you would construe as an illegal activity.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And when would that be? Provide a specific.
I saw you several times with a truckload of your cannon parts. Last Christmas Eve, for example, I saw you setting up your illegal cannon and rockets. I saw you entering a not well-known lava tube about a kilometer west of my ranch.
Why do you say what you saw was an illegal activity?
You were clearly acting secretive, and you were forcing a young woman to go into that cave with you.
Now, why do you think that the activities were illegal? Right? Just because the participants wanted privacy. Do you ever do anything for which you want privacy?
Now and then.
Oh, yeah, now and then. Like your drug dealing and human trafficking.
Objection, Judge.
Sustained.
Christmas Eve, you said. Mr. Hiller, did you know the young woman that you mentioned?
No.
Well, why do you think she was being forced?
I know what forcing a woman looks like.
Oh, I'll bet you do. On Christmas Eve, anyone you saw with me would have to have been my granddaughter. Why would I force her to do anything?
Maybe you wanted her to do certain things that she didn't want to do.
My granddaughter isn't the type who's going to be coerced to do anything she doesn't want to do. But You do have special forms of persuasion, don't you, Mr. Hiller? Where were you when the guard found you and brought you back to court?
None of your business.
Were you huddled with some of your young thugs about trying to find a certain young woman who seemed to have disappeared?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm through with this witness.
You are dismissed.
Outside, the artillery had been making some very good hits, and the Mexican ISIS was feeling the effects. Inside our tent courtroom, SAEL was also making some good hits. Hiller was obviously upset at SAEL's accusations and stormed out. I couldn't object because the whole world knows how Hiller makes a living.
The defense now calls Ms. Angelina Augustina Cordeo.
Stop! 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 Who are you?
My name is Angelina.
Okay, what are you doing here?
I'm supposed to testify in court.
Okay, calm down, calm down. All right, stay here. Don't move. Excuse me, sir, there's a young woman out here. Her name's Angelina. She's here. Yes, sir. You can go in now.
State your full name for the court.
Angelina Cordeo.
And you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Sit down.
Miss Cordeo, do you speak English?
Yes. I was raised in the United States. I speak both English and Spanish.
And how old are you?
I am 15.
And where were you born?
In my uncle's house.
Where is your uncle's house?
Near El Paso.
Near El Paso. El Paso's a border town, so you don't have to actually live in the United States in order to be near El Paso. So were you born on the north side of the river or the south side of the river?
My uncle's house back then was a lean-to shack about a football field's distance south of the river.
Oh, okay. So that would have been Mexico.
Yes.
Yeah. But you say that you were raised in the United States.
My parents brought me across the border when I was 3.
Legally?
Not really.
Did it bother you that you were in the United States illegally?
My parents were good people. They worked hard and they obeyed all the laws except this one.
I understand that. I understand. Just trying to set the stage here. You're quite pretty. That can be an asset to a frightened girl. Did people tell you that you were pretty?
Well, some did.
Would you say that you were pretty enough that corrupt men might pay to have your company?
They were not all corrupt.
Tell us why you were with the men. I mean, let's just say those men who you think were not corrupt when they took advantage of a very young girl.
Most of them had jobs, and the good ones never tried to hit me or get away without paying my man's man.
Your man? What does that mean?
The man who picked me up off the street when my parents and sisters were killed in a car bomb when we were visiting a museum in Dallas. I was 12 and I didn't know what to do.
It's okay. I understand.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's okay. All right. But I want to talk to you about your man. Okay. Now, did you seek him out to take care of you? I mean, was he a concerned relative or someone of that nature?
No, I told you. He took me off the street. I was wandering around dazed from the car bomb when some of his men came up and grabbed me. I wasn't near my family when they were killed. I was in a different room. I should have been with them, so I could be with them now.
So you were kidnapped? Taken against your free will?
It felt that way at first, but my man said he would take good care of me. He didn't do that for the other girls. Most of them he never even sees. But he felt something special about me. He was really sweet for the first one.
About the friends he introduced you to, I'm interested in a recent arrangement to which I am very familiar.
Can I leave for a couple of minutes? I'm gonna be...
Not right this minute, but soon. I want you to tell us if your man's friend was somebody having a powerful job.
Yes, but can I leave? I'm gonna be sick.
Would you recognize this person, this friend? Could you point him out in a group of other people?
I think the court can recess for a couple of minutes while the witness takes care of her needs.
I think we should allow the witness one more question before she's excused.
I think not.
Not so fast. Wait a minute.
Really, I think the witness needs to go right now. She'll toss up and be right back. Guard, you go with her. No one in or out.
Wait a minute now.
The
I
witness
just have
is
one question.
excused. But now this hearing will be recessed for 1 hour.
I was very concerned when Hiller followed Miss Cordello out of the tent. I know that she was under guard, but with the chaos on this base, anything can happen. After an hour of waiting for her to return, we all became concerned. However, when the guard reported that she was nowhere to be found, it was obvious that she fled, afraid to testify any further. We recessed for a couple of hours so that the panel could get a bite to eat and change clothes. One day after the trial had ended, the Marines found her in the desert. Her throat slit. Not knowing what had happened to his star witness, SAEL tried his last tactic. He called me as a witness. Again, I pretended not to like it, although I knew what he was going to ask me, and I also knew I was going to lie all the way through it. The judge couldn't say I didn't do my part. Nah, he would have to put the fix in all by himself.
Did you compile the list of charges against me?
No.
Do you know who did?
No.
Have you or your family been threatened in order to make you prosecute this trial?
No.
Are you sure?
Yes.
This witness can be dismissed. In fact, the defense rests.
Do we have closing statements? Prosecution?
No, Your Honor. The facts speak for themselves.
Does the defense wish to make closing arguments?
SAEL's granddaughter presented for the defense. I was kind of impressed with her ability to wordsmith her closing statement. I especially liked her words from Scripture. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. She knew exactly who to target that to. Admiral Howard and General Pierce have been 100% objective throughout this whole process. No matter what charges he's convicted on, there will definitely be an appeal. I was also impressed with further evidence that she provided showing President Branton's previous attempts to become a sailor herself, and her connection with Henry Hiller and his efforts to force SAEL to make another launch carrying hordes of DNA of his own choosing. To any sane, rational, even slightly intelligent person, this whole trial was a sham, a farce, a disgrace to our service. And the decision had to be an acquittal. It had to be. But SAEL was doomed from the moment we all first came to order.
That's quite enough.
We need to. Enough already.
I'm agreeing with that. Enough already. Let's conclude this trial and get these people out of here to safety. We're in a combat
Before all
zone.
hell breaks loose.
Okay then. As the ranking officer and chairman of this tribunal, I am now ordering that, other than my fellow tribunal members, the hearing room is to be completely emptied. Furthermore, everyone with knowledge of the events leading to and the activities during these proceedings is hereby placed on a gag rule.
Where does it come from? How does it get so strong? Outside, whole cities are being consumed by it. In here, we debate it, we rationalize it, we question it, and then we let it go. Just walk away.
Will the defendants stand for the verdicts? The court's panel finds as follows. In the matter of unlawful foreign transfer of American technology, the panel finds you not guilty as charged. In the matter of unlawfully developing a weapon of mass destruction, the panel finds you not guilty as charged.
Where does it come from? It comes from all of us. I hadn't been able to recognize it, or at least admit I saw it, until the judge started reading the verdicts. I looked across the well to see a man and his granddaughter waiting to hear what three very fallible men would say about his future. What would it be? Death? Imprisonment? Freedom? I knew what it would be. The forces of the thing inside are too strong. It made me sick to watch them, with hope in their eyes, possible freedom. The vote for conviction had to be unanimous, one dissent and he's free. But the thing will not allow it. This beast, this evil.
In the matter of practicing medicine without a license, the panel finds you guilty as charged. Because of your age, your sentence will be served under house arrest for the maximum permissible time. Effective immediately, the court orders you to be flown to your domicile in Oregon and enter confinement there. As part of that confinement, you will be fitted with a radio locator anklet. Further, the proceedings and results of this hearing are ordered sealed by the authority of the President of the United States. Nothing is to be said except that Dr. SAEL has received a fair trial and been fairly sentenced. Mark my words, if there is the slightest leak by anyone, there will be hell to pay. This court-martial is complete.
Sometimes, though, when it seems there is no hope, a missing gun can bring the warmest twinge of something good on the horizon. SAEL was the only one who could have snuck his own 9mm pistol off the table. And I couldn't have been happier.
About Jesus, wondering if I believe, all about the day when the nails you high, when your crown of thorns all covered in flies, how you gave your life for me, all please. It doesn't matter what they say, no, it doesn't matter what they about life now, wondering if I believe, like the ones who die shooting up the dream, only son laying dead on the street, keep your eyes if you want.
This is breaking news. There's been a shooting at the home of a man who became known as Dr. Davis SAEL. Dr. SAEL's been under unsupervised house arrest for the past 5 months for charges still not made public. At least 4 gunmen broke into the house just before dawn this morning, apparently looking for something. Police ballistics experts have already determined that the men were killed with the same weapon, a 9mm handgun. Dr. SAEL was the only one known to be in the house, and the 4 men lay dead in different rooms. All were shot more than once in the chest or head. Dr. SAEL's ankle tracking device was somehow deactivated, and he cannot be located. In St. Louis, 2 car bombs were detonated, one near the courthouse and one near a public park.
Carmichael.
Hello, Mr. Prosecutor.
SAEL?
It is. How you doing?
How did you get this number?
Doesn't matter, does it?
Well done on your escape. You left quite awake.
I didn't ask them to visit. So your wife and son are safe, I see. It's a nice place. Good choice.
You're bluffing. You don't know where they are.
Your boy looks to be 16, 17. Your wife, Leanne, had some trouble with that ATM yesterday. Wouldn't give her card back.
All right, what do you want?
Actually, I don't want anything. Just to be left alone.
I can't control what other people do. Just leave me and my family out of it.
Hey, I just called to offer you something.
What?
A chance to ride with your family on Flight Omega.
You want me to give you some of my blood for Flight Omega? I thought that already launched.
No. We were interrupted by Hiller and his men. Never got the shot off.
Look, you said me and my family. We can all go?
Yep. I'll send you 3 packets.
I wish to God it were 4. My youngest...
I know. You can still get her blood. The cancer center has 3 vials banked for research. I checked.
How'd you do that?
Boy, you really are hung up on the how, aren't you? Listen, we're gonna launch Omega in about 2 months, so you'll need to get on the stick.
Why would you do this?
You could have blown the whistle on me about my gun. You didn't.
That was more out of spite than anything else.
And the phone call to warn me about the 4 horsemen?
Well, hey. Just wanted to give you a chance to clean up before you had company, you know.
This is a thank you. Take it. Come with your family. And Angelina, remember her? I was able to secure some of her blood, too. It's time to quit looking over your shoulder. We're in this life and on this planet. Let's enjoy this crazy world as best we can.
Right. With Hiller running around and 4 of his guys dead at your house, sure.
Tell you what. Go get a cup of coffee and turn on the news.
What? Why? Hello? SAEL?
Welcome to Channel 6 News at 6. I'm Karen Carlisle. Terror in Canada today. Apparently, a large sleeper cell was activated in northern Michigan, where its members slipped across the border and detonated a dirty bomb in Windsor. We'll have more on that story as details emerge. Now, a special news alert. A surprising turn of events has arisen in the case of the missing fugitive, Dr. Davis Stevenson, otherwise known as Dr. Davis SAEL. An image of what appears to be the missing man was recorded on half a dozen surveillance cameras across the country, leading authorities on what appears to be a planned wild goose chase culminating in a strange situation in Mexico. More on that from our own Mike Tilbin in Juarez, Mexico. Mike?
We all remember the violent circumstances of Dr. Davis SAEL's disappearance early last month. Now there seems to
Admiral
be a
Dukakis,
violent follow-up to that story.
Commander Carmichael.
Several miles south of Juarez at
I know.
a spacious ranch suspected to be the headquarters of a
No, I
drug
was just
and
calling
human
to see if you've
trafficking cartel.
caught any
Several
news
bodies
lately.
were found in the main house, all shot in
Maybe you
the chest
should.
and head with a 9mm handgun.
Remember
This
that
in itself is not unusual in
little
these
trial we
increasingly
had down there in the
difficult
Arizona
times.
desert?
But now, get this.
Yeah.
The event was discovered in
My
a bizarre
family?
manner.
They're fine.
One of the dead men is Henry Paul Hiller, who's long been suspected of being
But,
the leader of the entire cartel.
I think
as
you
well
should
as
probably start
collaborator
looking for a
with
place to
several terrorist
hide.
groups. Around his ankle, police found the reactivated ankle tracker that was once around the ankle of the still missing Dr. Davis SAEL.
Suit yourself.
It is the sudden appearance
Good
of the
luck,
signal
Admiral.
from that anklet that caused the authorities to take the risk of going to the ranch, fully expecting to find Dr. SAEL. Now, the Mexican police have an all-out search going for Dr. SAEL. Karen,
SAEL.
Back to you. Thank you, Mike. And now continuing
God love
coverage
'em.
on yesterday's poison gas release in New York City subway system. 7 arrests have been
God
made
bless
in
'em.
connection with that attack.
In the beginning, scientists and the media made light of my DNA memory idea. But some people began thinking that accepting my strange idea was better than accepting a relentless march to an otherwise inevitable and permanent grave. These days are laughing at my concern that machines and computers are going to take over the earth and all the humans that inhabit it. They can laugh all they want to, but I already see the signs. The time is close. At most 10 years. They'll see. The loneliness without you turned out to be even worse than I had feared. Still, I have had a good life, a blessed life. And the coming new life with you will be even more blessed.
If you're reading this, then you're probably the last man on Earth. How do I know? Well, it's not the result of my own thinking. It was Matthew who argued that it would be so. He finally wore me down until I promised him that I would place at this location this record. I don't know how he knew, but it's true, isn't it? You are the last. If you survived, you must be a throwback, an IBR. Matthew always knew one of them would be the last. There's only just over 1 million people remaining on the planet. If you dig around the area where you uncovered these documents, you'll find the components my friends used when they made the device for what they thought would be the last flight out of here. You probably miss the nannies. I did at the beginning. But you'll learn that it's better, much better. True freedom is much better. Whatever the case, open the book. Begin the story. The true, frightening story. The story that Matthew insisted I write.